JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. October 15th, 2024. Talk really quick about the market, some of the names I'm looking at, go from there. Take a look at the S&P futures are pretty much flat, well mixed. NASDAQ and the S&P are slightly in the green. Small caps are down about a third of a percent. And then the Dow's going to take a hit today. United Healthcare reported earnings this morning. Actually, decent report, but guidance was a little mixed. I guess concerns around cost, so it's taken on a chin. Close at 605, it's down here at 574. But earnings season will really start to pick up a Thursday after the closing. Two was surgical. Netflix can't wait for those. But the SPY yesterday, well, the S&P up 0.8%. It was kind of like a quiet, lackluster session. It was actually the lowest volume for the S&P since the summer. And some of it, of course, has to do with the holiday, but it's almost like the sellers have been churned out. And now it's almost like there's not much in the way of resistance. At some point, there will be. But watching those spots on the SPY, put on a watch list, 585 or so. And then 582 is the upper Bollinger Band. So won't be surprised to see a snap back underneath that, whether it be today or tomorrow. But who knows? I keep saying, right? Blue sky breakout, new highs, beget new highs. Can't rule out just continuation. Markets up for the past 5 sessions. I mean, we're down to 568 or so last week, and here we are, tested almost 585 into the close before a little last minute pull. So anyway, so that's that. That's the market. I mean, the silver lining too. The VIX is back under 20, or at least for now. It was actually ticking up a little bit here in the pre-market, but it's in 1964. That's a good sign. And then the 10-year yield looks like it's finally going to crack that 4% handle. So those are some of the things that had me a little more cautious. But we'll have to see how that all plays out. What else do we have this week? But well, anyway, so all right. So and also small caps, 2 sessions in a row. I think it's over 3% to the upside. But then sure enough, what's it doing today? It's underperforming. So hopefully at some point we get some outperformance in the small caps. All right, so individual names and first SE really quick, closed over. Oh, Dell's spiking here in the pre-market, like 130. Wow, it's really going. I don't see what news that is. Dell's going. What else? Usually the other chips are going. What's going to be here? Sorry, folks. AMD, Intel, like going like serious news, but it's only up. It's up $1.70. But all right, anyway. So SE closed over 100, first time it's done that in a couple years. My October strikes expire Friday, so I didn't want to be in the spot where I'm watching the premiums just get eroded. So I went and closed the last of the hundreds for nearly 400%, and then I still have the October 25s. It looks like, and maybe it needs some chop here first before the next leg, but if not, I think it tests 105 in the coming days and then higher. As it's kind of like, I made that kind of analogy, like it broke the seal, like a key point that I think now that, especially if it stays over $100, now it's onward and upward. So got that out of the way. I think it's a good sign. I think that heads higher in the coming days. And Dell's 131. I wonder what that is. Dell AI Factory transforms. What is this going to say here? With advanced cooling, AI storage is news, I guess, that came out. All right, so that's Dell, that's SE, and I have my Dell slide up here. Sure enough, I locked my 135 strikes in. It got over 130 in the morning, and then it took it was up there for about 3 minutes and then reversed. I didn't want similar to SE, I didn't want to be in a spot where I have the weekly strikes and the premiums just get eroded. So I locked those in for a profit. I was going to revisit it, got all the way down to 127, and then it closed at 128. Still in the green, but I thought, I just didn't want to be, again, in a spot where the premiums erode. I'll see what happens here today. I'll probably, 132, there's a gap, and then there's also a move. If you take a look, the next spot is like 145. So can see that happening in the coming weeks. Don't be surprised if I add some more Dell strikes. AMD just weak yesterday. I'm probably, at some point I'll add some more strikes, but I'm going to wait for the dust to settle. 200-day moving average is 162. So maybe if it gets down there again and revisits, I'll take a look at that. So that's AMD. Sorry, I keep looking, trying to figure out the Dell news. All right, so another name, and I haven't traded this in a while, but I'm trying to think if I've ever traded it, but it's a name on watch, especially after its earnings last quarter. And some of the reasons, because I had the Lam Research puts, and Lam Research and ASML are very similar. They make the machines that make the chips and things like that. So obviously it's been a high growth area and it continues to be, but ASML, it seemed like it had a hiccup back in the summer. And it's I don't know what country it's based in. It's in Europe. So they report earnings overnight. It might be like 2, 3 in the morning, but They had that big gap to the downside, went all the way from 1100 down to 750, and then it's been chopping around, and it started to rally yesterday. And I start to look at it, and it almost reminds me of what happened with Adobe. And Adobe was doing great, soaring on AI, and then it just had kind of like a hiccup quarter, and then it just got destroyed. And then it had a great quarter the next quarter, a decent quarter, and rebounded almost all the losses. So I don't know if the similar thing is going to happen. I was looking at the calls yesterday, and even the $1,000 strikes seem pretty expensive on a risk reward basis. But I may look for a few spec calls. And the thing is, they report tomorrow. So if it's an inline report or disappointing and the stock just flounders, those calls will be bidless. But if it has a decent quarter, some guidance, it's kind of like a relief quarter, the stock could be back 975 to 1,000. If that's the case, the $1,000 strikes will be up 500 to 1,000%. So that's kind of the thought process plan on that. Clear Secure, they added some 42 strikes for November. So I might look at those. I was looking yesterday, possibly January 45s, and I was looking at the November 40s. My 36s are coming back to life, and who knows where it goes today. Hopefully it goes over 36. But if it does, obviously, I'll lock those in and then add some November strikes. Even if it doesn't, I'll probably add some November strikes today. I keep talking about it, I put it on the watch list too. It's just the fundamentals and growth and all the different metrics you look at for Clear Secure doesn't jive with the stock price, right? If I looked at all the result, all its fundamentals, and then you told me where the stock was trading with its outstanding share count, its earnings, its cash position, its growth, and all that, I would say it's probably like 50, 60 bucks, if not higher. And here it is, trading at 35 or 34 and change. So really like this one for upside. I mean, I can go on a rant forever. WW, I put this on watch list too. Not that I don't think that it's going to head higher, but it doesn't make sense to really just keep doing updates on the watch list because I'm not going to trade this on weekly positions or monthly. But if something changes, or if I lock my position in or add a position, I'll certainly do updates. But down 5% yesterday. Again, it was up nearly 120% last week, despite the big, I think it was 15, 18% sell off on Friday, 5% down on yesterday. You also have the FDA. They're reviewing the possibility that they're not going to, not. So what happened is there was a shortage for LLY's drug, and they removed that shortage. Once that happens, compounded GLP-1 drugs, they're not allowed to be sold anymore, or at least you have like 3 months or 6 month window. But then there was a lawsuit filed last Monday, and it looks like the FDA might have to pull that back. And again, I did this yesterday on the rant. I'm like, how can someone get a prescription? It's not like they're getting a prescription for antibiotics where it's an infection and the infection's gone in a week. This is for weight loss or even diabetes, and it's a drug it's not going to be taken once and you're done. You got to be on it. So how can you just remove that and then expect that patient to now pay $1,000 or whatever? They drop the prices down. So I think that's certainly going to continue to be a discussion. All right, so that's WW. Biogen, 3 of the past 4 sessions to the upside, up nearly 2% yesterday. That sure looks like it wants to get over $200 and then 210. Don't be surprised if I add some November strikes and Compass earnings. Redfin finally starting to go here, back-to-back sessions to the upside off that 50-day moving average. Still have my January calls, which are kind of, I wouldn't say back to life, but the premiums have been holding up. I might get back in the November strikes, maybe the 15s, the 14s for that eventual move back over $15. Roku disappointing, down 2% yesterday. I mean, Roku and disappointing kind of go hand in hand, but just like things that give you heartbreak, maybe your favorite team, one of these days they win the championship or whatever, and that happens a lot with Roku, where it'll be disappointing, heartbreak, and then it makes the victory all that more exciting when it takes off in the direction you thought it was going to go. I think it trades over 80 in the coming days, with Netflix possibly being some of the catalyst. And then last but not least, here's the China stocks got destroyed again. Well, the China market's down over 2%. You see China ADRs getting it on the chin. Baidu's back to the downside. I think it was broke on 100 yesterday, and then it's 95 here in the pre-market. Actually, I don't have it refreshed up here. But Win also sold off. It was actually under $100 this morning in the pre-market. It's bounced back over here at 102. It had upgrades again yesterday. You had Morgan Stanley. UBS adjusted their price target, raised their price target. You also had Jefferies raising their price target. It's just it's like a powder keg, in my opinion, because I mean, obviously it ran up from under $80 to nearly 110 in a very short time frame, a couple weeks, and now it looks like it's consolidating. I think the next leg comes soon. So don't be surprised if I add some more strikes here on Win for that eventual move to 115. And that's it, folks, here. And Dell's giving back some of its gains here in the pre-market. So anyway, let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back later. Rock and roll.